Good morning everyone and welcome to Brampton's first Monday virtual assembly. Okay, right, well to start things off, I'll start with something very familiar to us and we'll start with a song coming up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It doesn't matter where we've come from. It doesn't matter where we've been. We're all special and equal, and we all deserve to dream. We can climb a mountain or go camping in a field. We can be creative or cook a homegrown meal. We're reaching higher, 'cause our promise held up high. We'll do greater together. Now is our time. Each one of us is different, but we all deserve the same chance. Reaching higher together right now. What the future holds we don't know, but we want to make our mark, whether in our own Olympics or create a piece of art. Learn up and be counted. We'll go across the earth. We'll learn to make music, and we'll show you what we're worth. We're reaching higher. There's a promise held up high. We'll do greater together. Now is our time. Each one of us is different, but we all have the same chance. Reaching higher together right now. Do our best, we'll progress, we'll invest in the future. We can reach, we can climb, we can dream all together. There's no limits to what we can do. Do you feel it too? We're reaching higher. There's a promise held up high. We'll do greater together. Now is our time. Each one of us is different, but we all have the same chance. Reaching higher together right now. Higher. There's a promise held up high. We'll do greater together. Now is our time. Each one of us is different, but we all have the same chance. Reaching higher together right now. Okay, well I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed my dancing and my absolute best singing, of course. Okay, well let's crack on with what the assembly is really about today and not just laughing at Mr. Hyland. Okay, so today we're actually looking at a very serious quite an important event in history. And we're looking at VE Day. Now, VE Day marked the defeat of the German armies in the Second World War to the Allied forces. Now, this date was May the 8th, 1945. And what we're going to do is we're going to watch a little clip of a very momentous part, and a very big, important part in history of a speech given by a certain Prime Minister at the time. I'm not going to tell you who. I want you to see if you know, or maybe you can discuss with your families and see if you can work out who the person is talking on the next little video clip. Okay, over to you.
Yesterday morning at 2:41 a.m. at General Eisenhower's headquarters, General Jodl, the representative of the German High Command, and of Grand Admiral Dönitz, the designated head of the German state, signed the act of unconditional surrender of all German land, sea, and air forces in Europe to the Allied expeditionary forces and simultaneously to the Soviet High Command.
Well done to those of you who correctly identified that was indeed Sir Winston Churchill. So on this very important day, May the 8th, 1945, yes, this indeed signified the end of the Second World War and the surrendering of the German armies to the Allied forces. On this day in Britain, after Sir Winston Churchill gave this famous speech, there were celebrations across the country, across the capital. People put out bunting along their houses, along the streets. There were street parties. All the churches rang their bells, and there was much celebration had by all.
Meanwhile, of course, Londoners had begun their non-stop 2-day celebration. The end of the German war had come 11 months after the landings in Normandy. V-Day came less than a year after D-Day. But it was the end of nearly 6 years of war in Europe. No wonder people went a bit crazy. And this was it in the West End. All over the capital, as indeed in towns and cities throughout the country, it was the same story. It was it in Lambeth Walk.
Despite the celebrations had by many on VE Day 1945, 2 days of celebration in fact, across the capital and across the nation, there of course was a darker side to this time. Many families had lost relatives and friends to the terrible atrocities that had happened over the past 6 years, as well as many people, especially in the capital, living in essentially nothing more than rubble due to the terrible acts of war that had happened. VE, of course, stands for Victory in Europe Day. Now, at this time, it's really important to reflect and remember those that have made great sacrifices for the freedoms that we have in this country and across the world today, which is very interesting in a time like this, as it reflects what is going on currently in the UK and across the world, with much of the world's population currently in lockdown in protection of social distancing from the coronavirus. So I want you to take a moment now just to reflect and remember and think about some of those people that are making sacrifices, not just in the past for remembering things like VE Day, but also the continued sacrifice of key workers and NHS staff to keep us all safe and healthy at times like these. We celebrate VE Day every single year on the 8th of May to make sure that we remember those sacrifices. And it's very important that when we celebrate the eventual end of lockdown in the UK, hopefully this year, we will also remember those people who've sacrificed at a time like this. Okay, well, thank you for listening and reflecting on some of the things I've told you about VE Day, and it perhaps is links to things that are going on for us now. What's going to follow is a couple of questions to see if you have been listening. So you'll see some questions, and I'll read out those questions to you. Now what I want you to do is give you about 30 seconds, and I want you to have a go and see if you can find the answers to all of those questions. Okay, off you go. To those of you who answered the questions, remember to post your answers or any questions or anything else you'd like to know in the Brampton Student Area General channel. Okay, thank you very much. Well done. Okay, I'm going to leave you today with a song by Dame Vera Lynn. This is a song that the Queen referenced in her recent speech called We'll Meet Again. So again, thank you for listening, and we'll meet you again.
We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Keep smiling through, just like you